Hello, this is John, and this video is going to be about the Chinese manufactured products that are installed into the United States electrical grid. They're having a hearing on this today and the dangers that may be present or present themselves later on down the line. But let's go back a few weeks to a month when the Chinese balloon traveled over the United States and cut straight through the middle of the United States. The one thing I noticed that nobody reported on, this is the path it took. The path it took was only over Republican-controlled states. It didn't travel directly over any democratically controlled states. The red shown here is Republican-controlled states. The blue is democratically controlled states. Now, because the United States did not bring down this Chinese spy balloon in a controlled manner, and there's many ways they could have done it, by adding weight to the balloon to bring it down, to find out exactly what data they were collecting and what the equipment at the bottom of the balloon was capable of doing. That we do know and understand what the Chinese government, by way of their very small, almost microscopic components and chips, are capable of doing, and we're going to take a listen to that now.
China could be using cars and refrigerators to spy on people. A new report details how Chinese manufactured microchips and those items pose a threat to national security in the UK. But there's also a potential for Chinese spying and security concerns right here in the U.S. The report warns that Beijing can use data collected and transmitted from those devices to track people.
All right, so right around the time that I filmed this episode, Bloomberg Businessweek published an article titled The Big Hack. And as far as information security is concerned, this is an absolute bombshell. In brief, the article says that some servers manufactured by a company called Supermicro had additional components added at the factory without their knowledge when they were being manufactured in China. The chips had the ability to interface with low-level parts of the system and had the ability to read and write parts of the system memory and also transmit and receive data through the network interfaces on the server. Essentially, these chips act like a permanent rootkit, so they would persist even if you had reinstalled the operating system on the server itself. The point behind those chips is to allow a malicious actor remote access into that system and gain kind of a backdoor into a company's network. It could allow the installation of software undetected and be used to either gather data like directly on that server itself, or to get a foothold into a network through some of that software installed to try and probe other parts of that company's network and see if it can gather data from other servers. Effectively, these servers with these chips would get hacked, and then they could be turned around and used to try to hack other systems through software. You can kind of think of it this way. You probably keep the outside doors to your house locked, but how often do you close and lock all the doors inside the house?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Oh, there we go. Just waiting for my time to be reset. All right, Mr. Kumar, back to you. We were talking about transformers, and I was about to ask you if you know what percentage of the U.S. electric grid contains components that are manufactured in China.
Senator Hawley, thank you for the question, and appreciate your recognition that we really need to be focused on the China threat when it comes to the grid equipment, both hardware and software that is deployed across the United States. Where we have been really focused on is 4 different areas here. One is we need to understand what are those critical components that, if disrupted, could have a debilitating impact on the United States. The second area where we're focused on is establishing provenance. So really understanding what's in this equipment, what's in the subcomponent level, and what pieces are potentially from an adversarial nation like a China. The second area where third area where we're focused is testing. So we're testing some of this equipment down to the chip level and down to the software level in partnership with the DOE National Laboratories. And then finally, we're getting education and awareness out to the sector. That's where our focus of our effort is right now. and we're doing some of that analysis currently, and we're happy to brief you on some of that work.
So does that mean you don't know? You don't know what percentage of the grid contains components manufactured in China?
So, sir, there's a number of components that are built. The hard part about some of these questions is, at the top level, it could be, it looks like an American manufacturer or a friendly country.
That's why I'm
reality
asking
is,
you.
when you go down to the subcomponent level, is where it gets a lot harder. So our focus is really looking at all of that equipment, and we're now doing that analysis right now to see what pieces of equipment have some of these concerning areas. Now,
Okay, wait. So I'm sorry, my time is limited here, but I just want. So you don't. It sounds like you don't know. When do you think you might know? You say you're doing the analysis. When will it be done, and when will we find out?
Sir, we are doing a broad analysis on what are the critical components in the sector, and what do we need to be prioritizing when it comes to some of our testing. And we're taking a risk-based approach. The reality is,
When will you know? When will you know what you? So, I didn't think this would be very hard. I asked you what percentage of the grid contains components manufactured in China. You don't know, but you say you're looking at it. I just want to know when you're going to be done. When are we going to know?
So, sir, it's a complex question. As you know, the grid is it has thousands of hardware and
Date.
software.
I'm looking for a date. You're exhausting my patience now. When are you going to be done with the analysis?
Sure, I think the one thing we have to remember is when you have an analysis like this, China may not just choose to exploit equipment they're developing. They may choose to exploit equipment that is developed by someone else if it has a vulnerability.
Oh my gosh,
We
I
can't
feel like I'm on
only
the Senate floor. This is like a filibuster. Okay, I'll give this to you for the record. Let me try something else. What percentage of large power transformers are manufactured in China? Do you know that?
So currently, that number is not as high. We're doing
Well, wait a minute. You just told me a second ago you don't have any idea what the number is. So when you say it's not as high, what are we even talking about here?
So the United States is not purchasing as many large power transformers
many?
as it was back in the day.
Back in the day, what does that even mean?
So what I find is a lot of the utilities themselves recognize the China risk, and they themselves are not purchasing these large power transformers.
Well, what percentage are manufactured in China of our large power transformers? Do you know? It's fine if you don't know. I'm just trying to get answers here. You just say, I don't know, and then I'm going to ask you when you're going to know.
I'm happy to get back with you on that answer, sir.
Okay. Okay. I find this really quite baffling. This leads me to ask why it is that this administration suspended the last administration's executive order that restricted the procurement of foreign electric equipment. That was Executive Order 13920. Why did they? I mean, why allow procurement of foreign electric equipment that can be so dangerous to the grid? Do you know why this happened?
So, sir, right now what the focus is, we have to take a holistic view of supply chain security. Just having an approved and unapproved list is not the only way to secure our supply chains.
Well, but that may be true. I'm just wondering that why would we allow China, a country that's suspected of numerous cyber attacks against us, supply major components for our electrical grid? I mean, is that a smart thing to do?
So, again, what we're taking is a more strategic approach to this, to look at all of those different pieces I just mentioned, to ensure we look at security from all different aspects, including security by design, is a key component of how we need to tackle this problem. It's too large of a problem to start to have one solution, which was the solution in that executive order. Now, that executive order is under review. I defer to the White House in terms of a replacement executive order, but know that this is an area that's a priority for us at the department to ensure that supply chain is secure, and we're doing that very actively.
Well, all right, my time's expired, and there's lots of my colleagues who want to ask questions. I'm going to give these questions to you again for the record. I'd like to know what percentage of the grid contains components manufactured in China. And if you don't know, that's fine. I'd like to know when you're going to have your analysis done. I'd like to know what percentage of large power transformers are manufactured in China. And I just humbly submit to you that allowing China, getting procurement of electric equipment made in China and allowing it to be integrated into our grid is a bad idea. And I'm baffled as to why this administration is allowing it to go forward.
I want to thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Seek the truth daily. The truth will find you seeking. Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. Till my next video, God bless you.